Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so happy to have you on here, and I hope you guys can try these mandalas and have a fun time doing it. So before we get started on the mandala design, I'm going to explain our tools. So the tools I use are color coded, so they have a color on the top of the tools. When you buy them off of Temu or Amazon, they usually just come clear. So first off, for the twirly tools, I do not use the green twirly for any of my tutorials, so you can set this one aside. As for the rods, the largest two rods, I, again, also do not use for any of my tutorials, but if you're doing like a bigger project on your own time, then of course you can use these. So now to help you understand what I have color coded, you can lay them out biggest to smallest. The biggest one, which is the green one, next size down, we have it marked as the blue stick. And then next size down after the blue is the white stick. After the white stick, it's the yellow stick. And then we have the pink stick. And then last but not least, trying to pick them up, is the black stick. And then of course we have the twirlies. These are self-explanatory. They are color coded already. You can color code them yourself. We use just nail polish on the tops of the tools. We can get started with the design now. So for today's class, we're going to be using this color palette, but without paint color 6. So for paint color number 1, we're going to use Craft Smart Multi-Surface White. Paint color number 2 is Folk Art Multi-Surface Apple Red. Paint color number 3 is Craft Smart Green. Paint color number 4 is Deco Art Americana Light Avocado. And paint color number 5 is Craft Smart Multi-Surface Metallic Radiant Gold. We're going to start with the little holly berries and the leaves. The leaves are the main thing that we're gonna practice first. So you're gonna use the pink stick and the pink stylus. With the pink stick, you're going to place 3 dots next to each other like this. And it doesn't really matter the colors right now, just whatever is going to be visible on your sheet of paper. Once you get those 3 dots, you're going to take the pink stylus, the bigger end, and you're going to dip it into the paint, and you're going to start in this little in between 2 of the dots, and you're going to drag a little bit out on one side and then a little bit on the other side. Then you're going to dip again, start a bit higher, do another curve, another 2 curves out like that, and then dip again, and then connect these 2 edges with a curve. And then just fill it in with paint. Okay, next thing we're gonna practice are snowflakes. So we're going to use the white stylus and the yellow stylus. You're gonna start with the white stylus, the bigger end. We're gonna dip into the paint and place a dot. Then you're gonna take the yellow stylus, the smaller end, and if you look closely, the smaller end is almost like more like ovalish, so that's gonna be the smaller end. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the paint from that dot and drag it out, and then do 2 little drags of paint from that one. And then you're gonna do another one, 2 on each side. And you might have to dip your tool into the paint to get more paint so that it drags out. And then 2 like this. Basically so that you get 6 points. Next thing we're gonna practice is making the candles. So once again, using the white stylus, the bigger end, you're going to dip into the paint, and all it is short, slightly curved lines alternating like this. And then you just do as many as you want depending on how tall you want your candle to be. And then for the little flame on top of the candle, all it is the white stylus and the yellow stylus. With the white stylus bigger end, you're gonna place a dot, and then with the yellow stylus, you're going to kind of draw out like a little squiggly from the dot. Okay, and the last thing we're gonna practice is the Christmas tree that we're gonna have on the side of the hat. We're gonna use the white stylus, bigger end. You're going to dip into the paint and do a drag straight up like this. And then on each side, you're going to do 2 drags. So that you have 5 swishes like this for the base of your tree. Actually, now that I think about it, let's add 1 more. So the middle one and then 3 on each side. Then once you have your base, the little branches from here on out, you're just going to do it slightly more inward than your previous drag. So doing it like that, and then a little more towards the center, and so on and so forth, so that it kind of goes, makes that pyramid shape. And you're gonna do that all the way up to the top of your tree. And then once you feel like your drags are getting too chunky and they're just not dragging anymore, you can switch to the smaller end so that they still kind of drag along instead of being like a super stumpy little line. And then on top of the tree, we're just gonna place a star. With that, you're gonna use the white stylus, bigger end. You're gonna place a dot, then you'll switch to the smaller end and drag out 5 points. I like to think of the one going straight up as a head, and then these two as feet, and then arms. Okay, so now we're gonna get started on our gnome. The first thing we're gonna do is the Christmas tree, because we're going to... Did you guys practice good? We're about to find out. Because after we do the base, we're still gonna go in with some overlapping swishes, so we need that tree to totally dry before we do those. So that's why we have to do this one first. So using the white stylus, bigger end, and using paint color 3, I'm kind of doing it off center, kind of right above the arm here. So just starting like we practiced with that first one, and then doing 3 drags on each side. Bigger end or smaller end? Bigger end. And then also, you don't have to do this because we're still gonna overlap with the darker green, but I'm gonna add every once in a while just one dark green stem. So there's my base with 7 drags, and now I'm gonna start building up the tree. Okay, next we're going to color in the little arms and sleeves of the gnome. The glove part is going to be red, this little cuff is going to be white, and the arm part is going to be the light green. So you're just going to use the white stylus, smaller end, and just kind of fill it in. Okay, moving on, we're going to do the beard on the gnome. Don't forget that he also has this little hair piece in the back, so that's also part. So you have two options. You can either do a beard like this with little squiggles, or you can do dots. You can either do just all white dots, or you can make it kind of like with the red and white so that it kind of looks like candy cane-ish. So if you're doing dots, you can use all of the tools, any of the tools, starting all the way from the yellow stick to the pink stylus, just starting with the bigger one and just alternating colors with the white and red. As you can see, I did overlap on mine here. If you do decide to do it with the red and white, you'll have to wait until the end of class to overlap to make sure those dots are dry. And then if you're doing squigglies, which that's what I will be doing, you're gonna use the white stylus smaller end. So yeah, don't forget that to do this little hair piece in the back as well.
That didn't work.
All it is to it for the squigglies, it's just going up and down, making S's, making W's, and just kind of filling in as you go. So there's no really like technique to it or anything, just you're making squigglies. Okay, next we're going to do this body section. So once again, you have a choice on what you want to do. You can either do just random size dots or once again, swirlies like this. Same kind of concept with the swirlies, just filling in the spaces, and we're using paint colors 1, 2, and 4. If you're doing the swirlies so that you don't have to keep wiping your tool, you can use the bigger end of the yellow stylus, bigger end of the pink stylus, and smaller end of the white, because these are all the same size, so that you don't have to keep switching and wiping your paint. You can just change your tool.
And with the dots, you use the
All the tools, yeah, you can use the yellow, the pink, the black, and so on, yeah. Okay, so for the next step, we're going to move on to the hat, and we're going to do the candles that are going around the rim of the hat. We're gonna use the white stylus, smaller end, for the white part of the candle, and then for the little flame, we're using the gold paint, and the bigger end for the dot, and then to drag out the little paint for the little swirly, you're gonna use the yellow smaller end. So just make them different heights. You can do however, you can space them however much you want. You can make them right next to each other, or you can give a lot of space. But yeah, just going all the way around the hat.
You said smaller end, right?
Yes. Okay, next we're going to do the overlapping on the Christmas tree. So it should be mainly dry now, still press lightly, because if it's still a little wet on the inside, it still might drag through it and mess up that initial bottom drag. So using the pink stylus bigger end with paint color 4, you're just going to go right on top or like in between and just adding extra little drags. Once you guys have finished overlapping your tree, we're going to add the star to the top of the tree. So using the white stylus bigger end with the gold paint, we're going to place a dot, and then with the pink stylus smaller end, drag out those points. Once you've got the star, the next step, we're going to be doing the little holly berries. So for the actual red berries, you're going to place the dots with the blue stylus bigger end. And then for the leaves, we're using paint color 4. And you're going to use the pink stylus smaller end. And then don't do too many because we still need to save room for the snowflakes. So I fit about 4 on my gnomes. So no more than 4 because then there's not going to be much room left for the snowflakes.
The larger size on the blue for the dot for the berry.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Once you guys have finished with the holly, you're gonna do the snowflakes. So just a couple snowflakes in the bigger spaces, using the white stylus and the yellow stylus. The white stylus bigger end to place a dot, and then the yellow stylus smaller end to drag out all those points. And then once you have filled it up with these snowflakes, you can kind of go in with the yellow stylus and just place little dots, kind of like falling snow. Also, the beard should be dry enough for you to touch it, so you can hold on to that while you do the hat.
It was one of What did we make with the holly berries? What was the stylus we used?
For the actual berries, the blue stylus, bigger end. The very last thing that you guys are gonna do are the little ornaments on the tree. So you're gonna use the white stylus, bigger and smaller end, to make different sized ornaments. And you're gonna use the white, the red, and the gold, and just place dots all over the Christmas tree as ornaments. So the ornaments are the last step. So once you guys have finished everything up, you guys are all done.